Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we're taking a look at Pure Ryzeal. Ryzeal being the newest deck, and last time I showed you the Fiendsmith variant of this. What happens if you play it more pure? Well, basically what's happening is instead of playing the Fiendsmith stuff, we played additional ways to get into our engine with 7th Tachyon and Pot of Desires and stuff like that. It is overall a smaller engine, but we are also compensating by playing things like triple tack and, well, mostly just triple tack in order to kind of see more of our cards. So there's that. Mostly it's the same. If you don't know how Ryzeal functions, Ryzeal is basically a deck that functions by vomiting out a whole bunch of level 4 monsters, locking you into rank 4s, and then using those in order to go into some powerful rank 4s, like Detonator, which is an insane powerhouse of a card, which you'll see in the games. But for the most part, playing it pure allows us access to a bunch of additional searchers that lock us into Xyz, where if we were to play it with a different strategy or with another engine, that lock could be detrimental. So we kind of don't have to worry about like using our effects because we're pretty much locked most of the time. So there's that. Also, 7th Tachyon, real quick, gonna explain what this card does. What you do is you reveal a number Xyz monster in your extra deck that is numbers 101 to 107 in its name. We are choosing Masquerade because it is a 104. It is a light and it is a rank 4. Keep that in mind. Then you can add a monster with the same type or attribute as that monster and the same level as that monster's rank. Then you place a card from your hand onto the top of the deck. So this allows us to grab either Ice, Ext, or Star by revealing the Masquerade. So Masquerade's basically just in here for that effect. Okay? So it's basically just extra copies of these very powerful cards. That's pretty much it. As for the rest of the deck, it's pretty simple. We're playing the 3 Sword, the 3 Ice, the 2 Ext, and the 1 apiece of Star and Node, as well as previously mentioned 3 7th Tachyon. We're also playing the 1 Bonfire to search out things like Ice and the Ext. And then we're also playing the Pot of Desires. Since we don't really need any one card in particular, Pot of Desires is pretty good here. We're also playing 3 kind of searchable additional cards with the Cross, the Plugin, and the Plasma Hole. You can actually end up with all 3 of these through your combo, depending on how good your hand is. But yeah, that is like a thing that you can accomplish. The rest of the cards are literally just all non-engine. It's a lot of non-engine. I'm also playing 41 because I didn't really feel comfortable cutting a card. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to cut, so there's that. We're playing 1 Droll for cross-out purposes. We're also playing 1 Fua for that same purpose, as well as 2 Perulia. I think Perulia is a little bit better here. You could play 3, but I really don't like the Moltermies going first. They're pretty bad. So, for the most part, I just wanted to play 3. I didn't really want to play more. We're also playing the 2 Maxi and the 3 Ash Blossom, as well as 2 Nibiru, and 3 Infip for our hand traps, and then I wanted to play additional board breakers, because throwing hand traps at things like Ryzeal or Malice is really bad. You just never really accomplishes anything. Even like Nibiru isn't great right now. Droll's like okay against the deck, but it can also just like do nothing depending on the variant that they're playing. Like if they're playing the Fiendsmith stuff, it can kind of just not do anything. But there's that. We're also playing the triple tack for this purpose, as well as Ultimate Slayer. Ultimate Slayer is pretty solid as well, due to the fact that it deals with not just Detonator, but it deals with Cross as well. So it's very good in the Ryzeal matchup. It's something that I would genuinely consider playing just in a lot of decks, if you have the extra deck space. Because being able to go Aggregator off of Ultimate Slayer means that, 1, their plugin is now dead, because the Detonator went back into the deck. And 2, so is their Cross. So you activate Ultimate Slayer targeting the Detonator. Detonator shuffles itself back. It's also one of the reasons we're playing this card, because it gives target protection. But, you know, you shuffle away the Detonator, then then the Aggregator effect activates targeting the Cross, and then Cross either has to negate it, or it gets negated. So, pretty solid. Meaning if they had another Xyz monster on the field with the material, they're not going to get that negate off of the Cross. It's very solid, and it basically deals with the entire board by itself. It even deals with the plugin as well, which is, again, very solid. As for the rest of the cards in here, it's just the 2 Called By and the 1 Crossout. We're also playing a bunch of random cards in here for Ultimate Slayer as well. The Garura, the Malong, the Bucephalos, all are in here for the Ultimate Slayer. And we're also playing one Donner as well, specifically to deal with Baguska. if like we maxi the opponent and then they go Baguska, we can then go into Donner and deal with the Baguska at the very least. That is generally the idea behind that. And it doesn't require us to be playing like lights and darks. So it just requires 2 monsters of different types, which is very easy. And then you get to summon this guy. So that's our outs to Baguska. Also, it's an additional target for Ultimate Slayer, which is not terrible. The rest of the cards in here are pretty simple. It's a lot of rank 4s. We're playing Exciton Knight, very solid. Tornado Dragon, Baguska, the Photon Blast Dragon, which gives target protection to anything with 2,000, or any Xe monster with 2,000 or more attack, including itself, if it is boosted with Duo Drive. So if Duo Drive has 2 or more materials, it becomes 2,000 or higher attack points, which means that it is also given target protection, which is very solid. And that's literally all that it's here for. We're also playing 2 Duo Drive, as well as 2 Detonator, 1 Aggregator, and 1 Typhon. And that's it for the deck. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performed. Alright, so here we are going first, and just kidding, I lied to you. We're actually going third. Holy crap, this hand doesn't do anything. Well, hopefully this Nibiru and Imperm combo gets us there, and then we can, like, Ultimate Slayer, and maybe we draw something useful here. My opponent is also on Ryzeal, and yeah, it's not looking good. This Nib kind of sucks here. They're going to go to the Duo Drive, and that's fine. They're going to activate the Duo Drive, attaching here, and I'm like, okay, yeah. I'm going to elect to Imperm. They drew the one up. Well, yeah, okay, there's not a whole lot that I can do here. They're going to grab up a Star, and they're going to grab up a Plug-in. Okay, sure. I'm sorry, hold on. We didn't activate Cross? What? We elected to instead special summon Node. Okay, well, here's Nibiru. The opponent is then going to elect to plug in to bring back the Node, which will then send a card to Graveyard, which happen to be Ash, in order to go into Detonator. Sure, Detonator is going to attach here, and then they are going to detach in order to go into Star, and then Star will grab Cross. Why did we not? Huh? Okay, they're going to shuffle back 2 and set 1, electing not to crash here and protect with Detonator. I don't know why we elect to do this, but that's fine because now I get to go for the ultimates, and I drew nothing. That's fine. We at least deal with this guy. We're going to go for Aggregator, negating the Cross, and then I go Typhon. There's not really another option for me here. I'm just going to bounce the token and then walk over the guy and just hope they don't have anything. I just have to hope they don't have anything. They're going to go for the Cross here. Sure, they're going to draw a card. Out comes 7th Tachyon. They're going to put a card onto the top of the deck. And then, of course, they end up grabbing the Ryzeal. Ryzeal is going to send Aggregator, negating my Typhon. And I'm like, okay, look, you have 1 card in hand. If I negate this X, if you just have an Extender, you're just better than me. It's that simple. You're just better than me. They don't. Hooray! Fantastic. I draw Ash for turn. Son of a bitch. Okay, well, we'll just walk in with Typhon and pass the turn. There's literally nothing else that I can do. Now, theoretically, I could Ash this Cross. I don't think there's a purpose to doing that, because if they draw, like, well, that, we could instead Ash that, which is arguably better. Or if they were to hit, like, an Ice or something like that, that would arguably also be better. Son of a gun. Okay, I'm just going to normal summon this guy, because then at the very least we have a 4 on our field. We're going to go to combat. I mean, again, at least we have something here. It's not like we can use our Nibiru, but at the very least we have, like, something. They're going to draw again. They have 4 cards in hand. Out comes Ice. I'm going to Ash. Surely they have a Called By. Nope, apparently not. And that's the game. Wow. What in the hell was in your hand? Probably hand traps, to be fair, but no Imperm, no nothing? I guess Imperm wouldn't have done anything, would it? Good game. Alright, now here we are going to second, and honestly this hand's not great, but it does have Slayer, which is fairly decent, and it looks like my opponent is also on the Ryzeal. Yeah, they're going to do the same thing. Out comes the Ice. They're going to go into X tier. Wow, they just had X too. Out comes this guy. Yep. They're going to do the whole combo. Yeah. So, okay, this is something to keep in mind. If you get to start with X and or any way to get to X, what you can do is what this opponent is doing here, which is you go X here, you special summon out the X, sending Aggregator. You then grab up the Sword, Sword special summons itself, grabs Ice, normal summons, and then you special summon the Star off of that. Star will then set Cross here, and then you can on summon number 5, summon the, not the Duo Drive, but more specifically, you would summon this guy here. Where is he? Where is he? Oh, I'm not playing him in this version. I'm instead playing Dugars. But you would play the Photon. the photon here, which then gives you target protection, and more specifically, since you have cross that you can activate, or you have cross activated there on the field, you then have a negate for a Nibiru, because that's summon number 5. And then you can go into the Duo Drive, and Duo Drive can activate its effect, detaching the 2 material specifically from the photon in order to search the 2 cards, so that you still have the target protection on the photon as well, which is very important. So that's generally what you can do, which also plays around Nibiru and targeting effect negation, which is very solid. But instead, my opponent's going to go Infernal Flame Banshee, and they're going to search up Ice. And then they're going to go Star. What is the purpose of the Infernal Flame Banshee? I couldn't tell you. No, like, genuinely, I have no idea what the purpose of this is. If we're not playing the Protoss stuff, with, like, Flag and what have you, I genuinely cannot fathom why we're playing this card. Because the thing is, if you can make a rank 4, why would you not just make Duo Drive? This literally accomplishes nothing. Yes, if we have Eclipse Twin, it's pretty solid, because Eclipse Twin is very good with Infernal Flame Banshee, because then you can use the Eclipse Twin and or you can use the Infernal Flame Banshee and another level 4 in order to go into the Eclipse Twin, which is just like a fairly okay card. It's not like great, but it's like something. But like we don't have that, so this literally accomplishes nothing. I don't know why this is here. Anyway, out comes Duo Drive. They're going to activate the effect of the Duo Drive. They're going to attach, and then they're going to send to the graveyard that guy in order to go into the ice, and then they're going to search out the sword and the ice. I don't know what we're doing here. Anyway, out comes Detonator. They didn't do anything any remotely differently, and they're still ending on the exact same things that they were previously. So I don't know what this was. This was a terrible combo. It doesn't matter. We get to go and activate the Ultimate Slayer and just immediately remove their entire board from them. So away goes this guy. And then we also get to go Aggregator, which they elect to negate by detaching the Duo Drive material here. I don't know why we wouldn't just keep the material. Why not just keep the... Okay, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. We're gonna search here. They're gonna Ash. Now I know the last 2 cards in their hand. So we don't have to fear Nibiru, which is cool. So we're gonna go start off here with the Duo, or with the Ice. We're gonna go Ice into Sword, and then we're going to go into Detonator here. Why are we going Detonator? Well, because I kind of assumed they had Imperm, and this was like something, but we also have like full combo anyway. We still have X in hand. But alas, they're going to go Plasma Hole, which doesn't do anything. So I'm going to elect to try and pop the plugin. They're going to Special Summon. That's fine. We're just going to allow that to happen because we need the protection. So we're going to protect with the Detonator and attach the Aggregator. They're going to search here, and I'm going to elect to pop the Cross so that they don't have the consistent negate here. So, away goes that. They're going to search another card. It's going to be X'd. Cool. They have a very solid hand in follow-up, or in... They have a very solid follow-up in hand. There we go. But how much does that matter when I get to play the entire game and end on, like, whatever I want, including potentially a Baguska after all of this. So, yeah, dude. Good game. What was that play? Alright, here we are, once again, going second, and once again... This hand is kind of incredible. My opponent's going to go for the White Rabbit. They're going to set the MTP, and I'm like, sure, yeah. Out comes TB. They're going to activate its effect. I'm going to Maxi. Of course, I have the Maxi. Now, of course, they have the response here of Shifter. Oh, Shifter. Oh, that's not exactly what I was expecting. Now, to be fair, we don't actually care that much about Shifter. Like, we kind of care, but not really. We draw for turn, or sorry, we draw off the Maxi, the one card that they gave us. They also go for March here, which is kind of interesting, and then we draw for turn, which is Nib, which is actually very solid here. We're going to just immediately go for the 7th Tachyon. I'm going to put back the Ultimate Slayer. It's not really going to do anything here, so we get to keep the Ice here. They're going to go and negate off of the effect of Malice in the Mirror that they just had. Okay, cool. I would imagine they had like Imperm or something along those lines, so that's fine. Anyway, they negate the Ice. That's fine. They're going to activate the March here in order to add itself back to the hand. I honestly think that adding... No, yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to special summon the Ice here, or the Sword, which we already had in hand, and, yeah, they concede. Maxi, hell of a card. Alright, we're back with the deck, and 2 things I want you to know about this deck. 1, it is different than the Fiendsmith stuff, but it does have more problems than the Fiendsmith variant has. It's more susceptible to more stuff, so... Keep that in mind. I think the Fiendsmith stuff is arguably better for a ladder environment, but for a tournament where you're not getting heavily targeted, or not necessarily heavily targeted, but you're not going to run into as much randomness, I think something like this is arguably better. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, you lose to, like, Droll and stuff like that more in this deck, whereas Fiendsmith does have the ability to play under a lot of that stuff. It can also threaten, like, Nibiru's a little bit better, and it can play around, like, Perulia a little bit more as well. So, there's, like, benefits and downsides to both. So, there you go. Keep that in mind. The second thing, which is just as important, is this deck is not a combo deck. Do not play it like a combo deck. All of those YouTube combo decks that everyone shows you about, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff that you can do. Wow, you can do all of it. That's not what this deck wants to do. This is a mid-range, almost control style deck. Your goal is to end on follow-up and a pretty simple board, so that on the following turn, after the opponent can't really deal with a detonator and plug-in, you then kill them, or put yourself in such a commanding position that you win the game over the course of a couple of turns. That is generally what the deck is aimed to do. So, keep that in mind when you play the game. Don't continue to just vomit out guys and keep going and keep going. That's not what this deck does. That's not what you want. Okay? Focus in on summoning a very simplistic board. Sometimes you will get to be able to summon the full board, which is very nice. Again, as I mentioned, it's the target protection, it's the duo drive, it's the detonator. That's what you're aiming to do. If you can't do that, that's fine. Focus on detonator and follow-up. Okay? Your hand traps, the hand traps that you eat from your opponent, and detonator itself hopefully will get you there. And if it doesn't, your opponent just had it. Right? Sometimes that's the case. Generally speaking, you want to play very low to the ground. That's how this deck is going to win. That's how you're going to overall perform better. At least with this deck. There are other decks where comboing and doing these long combos and having these big boards and all of that stuff is great, like Malice. But even Malice doesn't necessarily do that, and in fact is also kind of similar in nature, where having the follow-up is what's actually going to kill the opponent, not necessarily the board you end up making. So do keep that in mind. With that in mind, other Ryzeal players who are actually good at the game are also going to understand this concept. So make sure that you have some sort of follow-up or some sort of idea as to what the opponent is going to do on the following turn. If you know that they don't have anything because your hand traps happened to stop them from getting to that position, fantastic. You just need to deal with the board. That's not always going to be the case. They're probably going to have some sort of extension. Keep that in mind. So, that's all. Detonator is crazy, but it's not going to immediately win you games. There's not really a way that you're just going to immediately win a game. That's not how this deck works. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Anyway, overall, the deck's very solid. I like the Fiendsmith stuff a little bit better. It's a little bit more combo variant, but it does play around a little bit more in general. It doesn't lose to any one thing in particular, because the Fiendsmith stuff kind of allows that to happen, where you can like pivot between different options, which is fairly solid. But that's gonna be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, like us very much, so appreciate it. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye bye.